Welcome back to Cape Ann Today. I'm here with Gloucester's Mayor Gregg Verga and Planning Director Gregg Cademartori. We are talking about important ways that Gloucester residents may be insulated from the anticipated rate hikes in electricity this winter. Good morning, you guys. How are you?
Doing all right.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Did I get that right? This is a complicated subject.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think
Okay.
That's certainly what we're here to talk about.
Okay, so we're talking about Gloucester community electricity aggregation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct. It's a mouthful.
Yeah, exactly. So, Mayor, why don't you introduce us to the subject?
Sure. And so Greg's here because he is the expert. And the city began this program between my time as a city councilor and my time coming in as mayor. And as a resident, when this happened, I was very excited to have it come into place. But the city is locked into a rate currently in our second contract with a provider at 11 cents per kilowatt hour. And we've all been reading in the news about National Grid's rate projected to go up significantly, up to, I believe, 34 cents per kilowatt hour. But as you said in the introduction, Gloucester residents who are in this program are indeed insulated from that increase because we're locked in until December 2024. But with that, I'm going to hand it over to Gregg so he can sort of fill in some of the blanks, and he's got some slides that might help the people out there better understand the program.
Sure. And I'll just share my screen, just put together a few slides, and it's all information that's available through our city website, which is great. But I just wanted to begin with a little bit of the history and who was involved in this. It wouldn't have been possible without past mayor's administrations beginning back in 2016. Also, the city council approving the ability to start to enter into the development of an aggregation program for the city, as well as the Clean Energy Commission, which has been a huge champion of this. You know, it's directly in their charge to find ways to increase the potential for renewable energy in the community, and also reduce greenhouse gas emissions, which this program does exactly that. And we also were hand in hand led with the support of a consultant, Good Energy LP. So again, this is kind of the headline. It's great news for anybody that's in the aggregation program. The fixed rate of 11 cents, around 11 cents per kilowatt. And that runs through a 3-year contract ending in December of 24. We did kind of start to hear the trickle of the news of the projected rates for National Grid. They are pretty staggering. And unfortunately, for folks that don't have an option like aggregation, you know, they're probably not going to realize some of this until November, December, when they see those first bills with that as their rate. So if folks aren't in the program now and are eligible to be in the program, we're certainly trying to get that information out now so that it's possible that, you know, they might be able to enter the program before those rates hit, because it will be a significant increase.
Right. Can I jump in and ask, are there any
Sure.
eligibility issues?
So this aggregation program, the way it was developed, and I think I have the next slide. I'll jump past Good Energy. The way that it was developed, it is an opt-out program. So when the legislation, state legislation was developed, the way to get alternate suppliers to really engage in this was some sort of, you know, guarantee that they would have customers on the other end. So when the program was initiated under those contracts, anybody that was on National Grid's basic service rate was put into the program, and you had to make a choice to opt out of the program. So if you had opted out in the past, you may not be eligible. But if you were on an alternate supply agreement or you're a new customer, definitely encourage you to look at it as a potential option. So all of the information around enrollment and the history and development of the program is at gloucester-cea.com. That is a standalone website, but it's linked off of our city website. And I always encourage people, if they are looking for any information about any program in the city, sometimes the easiest way to find things, because there's a lot on there, there's a lot of drop-down menus. Right in the center of the home page is a search screen, and you can just enter in, a search term in there, and you'll probably very quickly be linked to probably what you're looking for. So if you type CEA on the homepage, you'll be taken to links to FAQs as well as the actual CEA website as well that allows you to enroll. So a little bit of a history. Again, the state provided the opportunity for communities to engage in aggregation, to basically create a bulk buying power for its residents and small businesses and large businesses. They obviously potentially get different rates in the program, but they are all potentially eligible to enroll. And this began back in 2016 with the development of an aggregation plan. And it wasn't just about creating stability for energy pricing, but it was also about adding additional renewable energy into the supply agreements. So we began with a local option that had a 5% renewable energy adder in it. And the current one, we were actually able to move to have the default rate have a 10% renewable adder in it. And the rates were almost identical between the two contracts. Two different suppliers, but about the same rate. And there's also additional options if somebody wants to opt up to a 100% renewable energy as their supply.
Can I just ask another question?
Absolutely.
Excuse me. So just to clarify here, you're talking about the different options under the this Gloucester CEA program, and there are different options for renewables. You could have a 10% or up to 100%, and you have those choices within this, right?
Yes, you do.
Okay, great.
So that 11 cents rate is for the default, which is called the local green option, which is that 10%. And the 100% renewable is a little over 14 cents. I think it may be approaching 15 cents. But again, now that looks pretty competitive compared to what's coming this winter.
Right.
So if folks, one thing I just wanted to put out there too, because sometimes, these bills are complicated. They can be frustrating. I'm sure when you all of a sudden see a jump because you realize you started using air conditioning or something like that. But what people can focus on is really the second page of their bill. This is off of National Grid's website of just a sample bill. It's that second page that has the supply service. If it reads National Grid basic service, then your energy supplier is National Grid, and you might want to consider clearly looking at the aggregation program and enroll. If it's anything other than Gloucester CEA, Constellation New Energy, which is the supplier that we awarded the contract to for this 3-year period. Again, you might want to take a look at what your terms are, what your rate is, and also it's possible that it could be better than the program that we offer. Again, you're all consumers and you can make the choice, but if you are at a higher rate with a alternate supplier, you might also want to consider switching to the aggregation program. So, Gloucester CEA website. If you look at the tabs in the top banner, there's a tab that says Enroll or Change. And again, if you're not in the program, that's the one you would click on. You have to just provide some pretty simple information as long as you have a National Grid bill in your hand. You have to provide your name, your billing address, your account number, and a couple of additional pieces of information. And there's at the bottom of the screen, you can see there, you get to choose the product that you'd like to enroll in. Either the local green option at 10% renewable energy at 11 cents, the 100% option, 14.35 cents. And there's also the option to say, hey, I'm doing my part. I want to enroll in the program, but there's also a basic rate as well, which would only have the renewable energy associated with National Grid's requirements. And from that, also, if you have any questions, they're really for you to be, contacting or reaching out to either the supplier, which is Constellation. Their phone number and contact information is there, as well as if you have questions for Good Energy, our consultant. They also have an email address that's available. So it's great news for anybody that's in the program. And if you have the possibility of entering it because you have an alternate agreement with a higher rate, I definitely encourage folks to take a look into it.
So just getting back to signing up precisely, is there any reason to contact National Grid, or everything goes through this form?
Everything goes through the form. You basically just have to, that's part of the aggregation program. It was when it's instituted in its first iteration or second contract, anyone that's on basic service was brought into the program, and that's kind of the conduit. So it's really looking towards any customers that were supplied by National Grid. We're not able to contact folks if they're on alternate supply agreements, so they would have to kind of take that initiative. But it would be enrolling through this website.
Okay, so they would still come to this website to enroll.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And how long will it take? Let's, we're imagining that these rate hikes are going to happen in November. So let's say someone is just signing up today. How long will it take for that to show up on their bill?
Yeah, so it's unfortunate. You can't nail it down. They do say it could take between 1 and 2 billing cycles. I know of some folks that have done this in the last couple of weeks and already been notified that they're enrolled. It's really a matter of how many folks are looking to enroll. Constellation is a national international company that services supply contracts all over the place, but they probably have a centralized call center, that type of thing. So it's really kind of just, you put in the information, you get into the queue, and they try to, do that as quickly as they can.
Okay.
So Greg, maybe you also want to point out or clarify that those who originally opted out aren't necessarily guaranteed back in, but if you say are new to town or bought a new house or a new customer, you have a better chance. Do I have that correct?
Yes. So if you are a new customer, or if you're coming off of a alternate supply agreement and you've never been in the program before, you're certainly eligible for the rates that were negotiated. If you opted out, you may or may not be eligible at that rate. There'll certainly be a rate provided, but you may not be eligible for the original program rate because you chose not to participate in the program. So that's, I'd still encourage folks to see, what their options are by contacting Constellation or going through the enrollment and finding out what rate they can get.
Okay, great. So if we stop sharing, can we stop seeing your screen? Is that okay, Greg?
Sure.
I don't mean to end your conversation here. I want to keep talking. So your website includes this statement at the bottom, and I wanted to alert people to this and ask you about it. Beware of lookalike offers and always look for the city seal on materials sent to you. Can you talk about this? Because I know it's an issue, right?
Yeah, so in the beginning of the program, that opt-out letter, we made it very clear that it had the city seal on it so that people know that this was something that was developed and endorsed by the city. There certainly are, I feel like I get mailings every day, with some sort of promotion for, a supplier. There's a lot of different offers out there. Definitely have to verify everything before you take that step to make any kind of commitment to a contract. But in particular, anything that's associated with the aggregation program from a mailing perspective. And we're not doing that at this point, but it was at the initiation of the program. We wanted to make sure that it was bearing the city seal so that people could trust, but also, again, verify with the contact information that was provided to either contact the supplier, Good Energy, or the city if they had questions.
Okay, great. And what would you say to people who don't live in Gloucester and are sort of envious of this plan? What other municipalities in the Cape Ann area have their own kinds of programs or may get them?
There are a number of communities that have aggregation programs in the area. I know Salem does, I think Hamilton does. There's a number of communities. They also might be in different stages of development. It is a process to first, have the community commit to wanting to enter into an aggregation program through its select board, city council, and or selectman and mayor's office. And then you have to develop a program, and that's fairly specialized. There are consultants out there that do this. Good Energy being one of them. And that program also has to be approved by the Department of Public Utilities before you can engage in bidding out that electrical supply agreement. So it takes time. I know there's a number of communities that are in various stages of that process. And it's also, you're also relying on the market responding. So while we were approved to start negotiating in 2016, we didn't actually enter into a supply agreement until 2018 because the environment just wasn't right. At the time, rates were pretty good. So there is definitely a timing piece associated with this. We were really fortunate in the second round or second contract to negotiate the spring before last December. The timing was right. We got a great product, and we're seeing the benefits of that now.
So it was basically a 2-year process, and it was involved and a little bit arduous, kind of, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything, it's a process. I would say that, there may have been many steps, but, we had really good guidance from Good Energy. And again, there's other providers out there that can assist communities with this.
Okay, great. And tell us again, what percentage of the city is already enrolled?
So as of, and I don't have the most current numbers, but as of July, and I wouldn't expect a lot of fluctuation just because you're in that kind of, that summer rate. If people decided that they were going to be out, they may have done that before those rate switches. But there's currently, I think, over 9,700 residential customers, and a total, including small and some large businesses that, again, have different rates, and they can certainly contact Constellation for what's available for them. We're just under 11,000 accounts that are in the program.
Great. So people should be looking at their electricity bill to find out if they are enrolled, and going to your website or gloucesterma.gov to find out if they can, or how to do it if they're not enrolled.
Yep.
All right. Anything else? Anything from you, Mayor?
Yeah, I would just like to add. So, I mean, over the last, decade or so, Gloucester's been ahead of the curve on all things energy conservation, and being green. This is just the latest effort to help. Well, this one's already been in place. It's just sort of rising to the top again because of what's in the news. But things like this program, the energy, the revenue sharing agreement for the 2 wind turbines, the electric fleet we have for vehicles. Am I missing something, Greg? There are other efforts we've been making. But the new thing we have going on, and I believe Greg has a new slide for this one, is our work on with HomeWorks Energy for energy audits through Mass Save. So that's an opportunity for people to try to make sure their house is as efficient as it can be. Get LED lights, have savings through rebates for heat pumps and other things like that. But if you're able to share your screen to throw up that slide, we give a little more background on that, because this is going on right now, this program, and we will have people going door to door to sign people up for audits.
To schedule an audit, right, Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So you may have, seen this, some representation of this at public events over, the latter part of the summer into the fall, at tabling events at certain public events. But we've partnered with HomeWorks Energy, which is a home performance contractor that is essentially instituting the Mass Save program. You can go to this website. Again, all this information is also always linked through our city website. If you type in Gloucester Energy Challenge or Mass Save, you'll get links to the HomeWorks site as well. You can click, and again, with just a little bit of information, schedule a no-cost home energy assessment. And again, so there's 2 sides of the coin. It's great that we have negotiated a competitive rate for folks that also has a renewable energy adder. But there's also steps that you can take as an individual to see, how your home performs, and things that you might be able to do to increase its performance, and hopefully also at the same time lower your energy costs. So it is the Mass Save program. You can schedule one through the website. There's also been, again, tabling events, and that will continue. And later this fall, representatives from HomeWorks will also be doing some canvassing where they will, go door to door, introduce you to the program. Again, they will never ask you for any information about accounts or billing or anything like that. But they're clearly they're solely there just to see if you are interested in having them come back and perform a home assessment.
Right.
So it's a great step. If you've never done it before, you definitely learn a few things about the systems in your house, and maybe also some opportunities to make your house more comfortable, as well as save some money.
And Heather, as I mentioned, I think last time I spoke to you and Corey, the people going door to door are all Corey checked. They should all be marked with either vests or lanyards that show who they are. If somebody does come, as Greg alluded to, and they're asking for your bill to get your account number, or if they want to go through and start the audit, it's not these people. They're just there to sign you up.
Right.
So I know people are very leery about who's knocking on the door these days, but just look for those things, as I said, name tags, ID badges, vests, and a very short sign-up sheet. Nothing more extensive than that. But it's an opportunity. I think I mentioned last time I was on with you, I've had at least 3 mass save audits in the 30 years I've owned my house. And so if you've had one, don't feel like you're not eligible. A portion of your electric bill is running this program, so you might as well get a piece of the action. So it's a good thing if we collectively can help lower the carbon footprint here in Gloucester, be greener, save money. That's the big one.
Mhm.
Whether or not you believe in climate change, you can save money. So everybody likes to save money, even climate deniers. So let's make it happen.
Yeah, I know the last time we talked, Mayor, I was envious of how tight your house sounded. Do you have 2 heat pumps? Is that what you said?
I had 3 installed, and they help. I have a natural gas boiler, but like we kicked on the heat pump the other day, when winter hit for that week.
Right. Yeah.
But it helps not kick the boiler on sooner than
Yeah.
we'd like to. Plus, my wife's the heat miser, and we can't put it on until late November anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm the same way, but I just say put on a sweater. But we need a home assessment. That's an energy assessment for sure.
Yeah, and you don't need to be. If people out there who aren't Gloucester residents, you can always go through masssave.com or whatever. I'm sure we'll have the links for you.
Yeah.
Because every community is eligible to take part. Maybe not necessarily the program we're running with Home Energy Partners. I think I got that name right. But Mass Save is there. So
Yes.
Make the call, get the audit, and start saving.
It's actually scheduled. So
Okay.
his household,
Great.
at least. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Anything we're missing that you think people should know?
I think we covered it. We're pretty excited about that this opportunity was there, and we're excited that people are saving money, and going to avoid that crushing increase. And hopefully those who hadn't opted out but aren't in the program can do so. And there's a chance that those who did opt out may be able to get back in, but you don't know till you try.
Right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time this morning to tell people about this really important subject right now. Couldn't be more relevant. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, come back again. Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.